Hello and welcome back to another video in the Learning to Program with Go series, and in this video we're going to be covering closures. Closures are about as advanced as we can get with functions and the function is value kind of realm, but hopefully this video will clear some things up. To start, anonymous functions and closures have one difference really. Both of them, they're declared within a function, they can do things within a function, be called within a function, all that good stuff. But closures have access to data that is outside of their scope. Let's take a look here. If I have a num that is equal to 5, and then I create a anonymous function here, so let's just have a variable f that's going to be equal to a func that takes in nothing and just will print something. So we'll have a format.println saying nf func, and then we call f here. Let's actually comment this out just to show that we're in the f inner function here. So I do a go run and it says nf func. Right? Well, if I uncomment out num, we also get access to the num variable. So here I can do a format.println and print out num. Let's save and run this again, and we get nf_func, and then it prints out 5. What's important here is that now we can also modify num. So unlike in our basic functions where we get past a parameter or argument and we couldn't modify it outside of its scope, closures allow us to do that. So instead here, I can go ahead and say num is equal to -5, and let's remove this print statement because it doesn't matter. We know that it would print -5 there, but it calls f, and then let's do a format.println on num after the function has been called and see what happens. So we do a go run and we get nf_func, and then the value of num was actually changed to -5 because closure has an access to it. One key thing to note, if you have a variable within a closure that it has the same name as an outer variable, so for instance I have another num that's declared within here and we'll set it equal to 10, it's actually going to shadow this one above. So if I remove the assignment statement, I can say num is equal to, let's just put in a really big number. We see that this isn't actually used. Like the compiler is already jumping ahead of us and saying, hey, you assign num that's within the scope to 10,000, but you never actually read it. You only ever wrote to the location, so therefore it's a worthless initialization and declaration. So what we'll do to get this compiler warning out of the way is we'll just go ahead and print it out. So print num, but let's see what really happens here. So let's remove that print statement just to move some things around, clear our terminal down here and do a go run. And we'll see that we initialize num in the outside scope to 5, create an anonymous function that initializes another num to 10, then reassigns it to 10,000 and prints out the num that's within the scope. And so then therefore we get 10,000. But down here, we're still referring to the num that was at the top of the scope. And so it will still print 5. The last most difficult part about closures is that we can return functions or return a closure from another function. Now to demonstrate this, let's go back to that whole entire interact example that I had like a video or two ago. So I'm going to have a function called interact, and it's meant to take in a message that is of type string, and this function is going to return another function that takes in one string. All right, and so what this will do is just like I said, so it returns the func, and so it's going to return an anonymous func, right? Because this, if we're going to return something, it's going to have to match this data type that we put up here. So we have to create an anonymous func that takes in a string, and what this inner function is going to do is just going to print f out to the console, %s, and then \n. And how we're going to order this is that we're going to print some message and it's going to take in a name. And so we actually want to name this parameter up here. So in a roundabout way, we'll call the interact func to give us another function so that we can call that function to give some message to somebody. Let's actually go up to the main method and do some of this assignment. So here I will have a function called f, and I will initialize it to interact. And again, interact is expecting a message to receive. So I will say this is a message for, and do ... Now remember, this is returning a function, so f is still going to be a function. Interact is not returning to us some int or string or anything. So then when we go to call f, now we can pass in a string and we can say Colton, and better yet, we can actually name this parameter up here to name, remove that name down there. And so now it flows a little bit better. It's that we're intending to return a name here. And so now we can call f Colton and we go run this and it will return to us, this is a message for ... and then comma Colton, which is not exactly how the I wanted the print statement to go, but it's because the message got put here and then the comma was there. But you get the point. So interact returned to us a func that takes in a single string, and then we called that inner function basically right here. This example may seem trivial, but it's a great introduction into how we can clean up streams in our programs, use the defer keyword, and writing higher order web apps, all which will be covered in future videos. So if you made this far in the video, I'd like to thank you for watching. I encourage you to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.